Welcome back to another episode of the Northern Steel Podcast. I'm your host, Dominic, and I am by myself this week because Chris is on vacation. He's in Florida, unfortunately. So not the greatest vacation, but I do want to send out my thoughts and prayers to everybody in Florida. Hopefully, people are staying safe out there the best you can be. Chris is all right. For anybody wondering about him, he'll be home shortly. But this is another podcast following a bad Steelers loss. And I had plenty of days to really think about the Steelers game and seethe in it and just live in my anger. And it's hard to hold on to for an entire week. But what we're going to do is we'll get into that. But first, we're going to talk about the highlights from last week, which there weren't many. But starting off, the Browns were running all over us. They get big runs left and right. That's what Nick Chubb does without holding enough pressure. Our run game with our defense being out there as much as it is, they're just running all over us. And but luckily, they weren't able to actually score yet. Trubisky's making some throws left and right. He's able to move around the pocket, actually get something going, find somebody. But of course, you have to punt it. It's a back and forth defensive battle for a while. Whoa, we actually got a sack this game. Who's that? That's Larry Ogunjobi, ex-Bengal, ex-Brown, getting a sack on his former team. That really helps us out. And then now they got a 4th and inches. They can convert it? Of course they do. I believe there's a stat in this game that Brissett is 15 for 15 on 4th and 1s or less. That is absurd. Next, with 4:20 left in the first quarter, they hand the ball off to Nick Chubb, and what do you know? He breaks it for a long one. Gets about 20 or so yards on this run, almost takes it to the house. They're in Pittsburgh territory. On their next couple plays, it's 2nd and 9. In the red zone, there was a slant to Amari Cooper. Easy money touchdown. Terrell Edmonds, single coverage. Can't make it easier. We talked about how I was not worried about Brissett in this game. And as you'll see throughout these highlights, he just diced us up. On the Steelers' next possession on offense, it's a 2nd and 3. Trubisky rolls right again, throws it deep to Pickens, and oh my God, he makes the catch of the year, probably. Now, in the moment, we're all so happy about this Pickens catch. Look at that. It's Odell-esque, but let's not call it Odell-esque. Let's call it Pickens-esque, baby. He's going to be doing this all the time. However, if you look at the replay on that, Claypool's wide open in the middle of the field. Don't know if that was the best read. Later in the red zone, they hand the ball off to Najee, and he pounds his way into the end zone for a touchdown. The score is now tied 7-7. I'm feeling like, you know what? That Browns drive they scored a touchdown was a little rough. But this isn't too bad. Najee's able to stiff arm him. Mitch completed a deep pass this drive. Maybe we're finding a groove here. We told you guys we think this is Mitch's last chance. Well, that didn't last long because the Browns drove all the way down the field. And, what do you know? Jacoby Brissett throws another slant dart to David Njoku, who also had himself a whale of a game. Him and Amari Cooper both, I believe, had over 100 yards receiving. He gets a touchdown on Terrell Edmonds again in man coverage. I don't know if the Steelers team was worried about the run so much, but Brissett diced them up pretty poorly. 13-7 is the score. They missed the extra point. It was a very windy one in that one. Trubisky rolls to the right again. He finds Deontay Johnson wide open on an out route. That's the only routes Deontay is allowed to run, supposedly. We're on the 3-yard line later in that drive. Mitch keeps himself because Najee's going to get stuck to the goal line, and he dives in the end zone for a touchdown. I was sitting at home, I can't believe it. There's 3:50 left in the first half. The Steelers are up 14-13. I'm thinking maybe the offense is finding its groove. Maybe this is going to be an offensive battle that I was not prepared for. I was thinking defense is going to keep holding this out, but hey, maybe we can score some points. So with 3:20 left in the second quarter, what does Brissett do? Well, he does what he's been doing all game. He starts dicing us up. David Njoku gets a pass, bounces off 6 Steelers, and gets about 20 yards on the play. But luckily, they don't get any points out of that drive. Trubisky now takes it. He's got about 20 seconds left, fires it deep to Claypool. We're on the opponent's 42. Maybe we can get a field goal before half. We still got a timeout left. We just use it there to stop the clock. There's 17 seconds. Things are exciting. No, they don't go for a field goal. They go for the stupidest play I've ever seen. Waste the clock. It goes into halftime. Steelers get the ball after the next half. Najee's making moves. He's trying to hurdle people. Najee, for the much flack he got last week, actually had a far better game this time, I thought, as well as Jalen Warren had a really good game. Regardless, that drive resulted in nothing. The Browns go down. They get a field goal. It's 16-14. On the Browns' next offensive possession, because obviously we go 3 and out in the second half, it's now the fourth quarter. It's Nick Chubb time. Fourth quarter's here. It's time for the Browns to run the ball, and we are too gassed. It's a 4th and goal after a great Devin Bush stop. They give the ball to Nick Chubb. Easy money. Touchdown. It is now 23-14. And it is just looking worse and worse with this offense that can't stay on the field, especially in the fourth quarter. They've been going 3 and outs. Here's a 3rd and 3 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Trubisky drops back. He rolls to the left. He's running and he's sacked. And you'll see on a replay on that where they had somebody wide open, but he takes a sack. Not the greatest vision. The Steelers are able to drive down the field goal range with under 2 minutes left to go with 1 timeout. They kick a field goal. It's 23-17. They're down by 6. It doesn't matter. 9 seconds left. The Browns pretty much ran out the clock. We try to do some lateral BS. You know it's not going to work. Najee takes it. He flips it to a lineman. He can't catch it. Ball goes in the end zone. It's a touchdown for the Browns. Final score, 29-17 in an ugly, depressing Thursday night game. What more can I say? We talked about this last week, about last chances. I was just so frustrated. I was so unbelievably frustrated. There's a point in the game where I started looking at individual performances because I knew the Steelers were going to lose. Case in point, when I was talking about Nick Chubb's touchdown in the fourth quarter, it was on a 4th and goal. The play before, they ran a stretch play to the left, and Devin Bush smacked Kareem Hunt. It was a great hit, great tackle. And I knew it was kind of worthless because I knew the Browns were still going to score a touchdown. But I was like, good for you, Devin Bush. Way to make a great hit. Way to make a great play. Same thing with Najee. Najee was finding some good holes through there. And I was like, good job for Najee. Doing what he can do. Jalen Warren found a lot of great plays. Did have a fumble, unfortunately. But, I know some people want to, okay, so let me pause real quick and let's look on the bright side for just a second. And it doesn't seem like there's many bright sides. A lot of people like to point out that the Bengals are one injury long snapper away from making us 0-3, which is fair. You could also do it the other way and say the Patriots game was one dropped Cam Sutton interception and one fumble away from winning that game. And this Browns game was potentially one called back Jalen Warren big gain play, HB draw, whatever it was, and one dropped Deontay Johnson deep catch away from being a potential win in that game too. So there's some positives. I guess another positive would be that Mitch did throw deep a lot more. However, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I'm not trying to dog on Mitch, man. I am over it, though. We talked about how this is his last chance and that they should switch to Kenny if he does not perform well against the Jets. Well, Mike Tomlin is not switching to Kenny. He came out with his press conference. He made one depth chart change, and it wasn't the change everyone wanted. He changed Tyson Alu to second string. Montravius Adams going to first. And he's still going to ride with Mitch Trubisky. And it's just frustrating. I'm just over it. Watching him in that Browns game, we've talked about it plenty of times. It's his reads. They're not good. I understand that he threw it deep. I understand Deontay Johnson dropped a deep ball. I get that. The Pickens catch was amazing. That wasn't the right read. He had Claypool in the slot wide open in the middle. And instead, he threw it deep. And people want to say, well, now you're complaining about him throwing it deep. You're going to complain about that. That's not really the point. I just want a quarterback that makes the right reads. That wasn't the right spot to throw it to. regardless of the outcome that it was. Obviously, the game plan was for Freiermuth to chip the outside rushers, so he didn't get involved in the last 2 minutes, but again, we're not throwing it in the middle of the field at all. I mean, it was just sad to watch. It just was not good. It's hard to blame defense. Defense didn't do great, especially against Brissett, but to be fair to the defense, they had a bend but don't break game plan for most of it, and they're gassed. Brown's on the ball for like 40 minutes potentially. They're gassed, man. It's hard to contain a team when they have the ball for that long. But besides that last fumble into the end zone, they didn't score many points. They had almost 400 yards of offense. They had 23 points. That's not great for their output. And who's to say that they still score that many points if maybe different drives go our way? Maybe we get a break. Who knows? It's just watching it. It's Matt Kenna's play calls again. It's Mitch not making the right reads to me. There was we're going 3 and out in the fourth quarter consistently. It seems like there's been replays on those where Pickens was wide open on the side for a third down play, and Mitch did not throw it to the right guy at all. It seems like he has a predetermined spot he wants to throw things to, and then decides to do it before the play happens. And if that spot is not there, he just throws the check down right away. It's a part of me is like, how much more can I keep talking about this? It's tough. I have some tweets here that I can talk about briefly about how poor the offense has been. Now, here's another positive, actually, before I get to how poor that's been. The yards per carry per game rushing have been getting better. I believe the first game, the yards per carry was like 3.3 or 3.7. The next game was 4.1. This past game was 4.7. So running game's getting better. The line's getting better. The thing that's frustrating me about keep playing Mitch is I don't know why we're going to do that because this game against the Jets that's coming up this Sunday is looked at by many as a must-win game because many assume, and I'm one of them, that they lose the next 4 games. That they lose against the Bills, the Buccaneers, the Eagles, and the Dolphins. And that puts you at 2-6 at the bye week. If you, 2-6, that's not giving us a lot of confidence going forward for the rest of the year, regardless if we get TJ back or not. I think you got to start playing the rookie. Why are you holding him back for? We wanted Kenny to not play because we thought the line was going to be so bad. The offensive line has been pretty decent, actually. Top 10 in pass blocking, decent in run blocking. Our quarterbacks are not getting killed out there. Kenny is also mobile. He's not going to just stand there and take it. So I think, in my opinion, you got to play him. You got to play Kenny. You got to move on from Mitch. We got to start planning for the future. Get him the reps. Give him the experience. Hopefully that works out next year. But anyway, some negatives about the Steelers' offense. Yards, the yak for receivers. Total yak entering week 4. Claypool has 15, Deontay has 8, George Pickens has 2, Miles Boykin has 0. The total wide receiver yak for our entire team is 25 yards through 3 weeks. That is ridiculous. Boy, there's obviously some more. I've talked about Claypool being in the middle of the field. That was unfortunate. Oh, here we go. Steelers are gaining an average of just 23.7 yards per drive. The Steelers are also going 3 and out on 32% of their drives. Both of the worst marks of Pittsburgh since at least 2000. It's just I had a big rant. The Steelers' offense is averaging 22 yards per drive. I also read, I think, somewhere that in 2019 and 2020, under Randy Fichtner, our points per game was about 22. And under Matt Canada, it's 19. Maybe it's 20-19. Because the difference between, if you take away defensive touchdowns, it's worse. The margin's wider. I had a long rant tweet about how frustrating it is, and that right now we just suck. And I hate seeing people online who are saying, well, if you're giving up, you're not a true Steeler fan. You're not. I've seen this team go 2-6 before, and they've ended up 8-8. Like they can pull it around. You can't take those past experiences. This is a different team. Look at the team we have out there. Look at the way they're running, the way they're handling themselves. Look at the way they're conducting themselves during a game. It's awful. It's bad. They're not good. And what's frustrating is that they should be good. The defense has plenty of players to be good. And the offense has plenty of skill players to be good. Pickens, Deontay, Claypool, Freiermuth, Najee. Those players should be eating. And they're not. Because of quarterback play, bad play calling. Even the defensive play calling is not great right now. They're not good, guys. They really aren't. So it's okay to admit that. I'm hoping something can change. I'm still gonna be hopeful. But even in this game coming up against the Jets, even if I'm predicting them to win, but not by a lot because of how bad we play. And even if they crush them, that doesn't mean I'm going to think that they're good now. I need to see it consistently happen. And this team has been this way for the past 2.5 years. Ever since we went on that skid where we started 11-0, and everyone knew what we were doing every play, and we became predictable, and we became boring, and we're not scaring anybody on the defense. We're not putting fear. The Bengals game week 1 was like the best example of scaring a team because we had the attitude for it. But I haven't seen that kind of show in a long time. And that was great. But we haven't done it the past 2 weeks, though, since then. Nobody's afraid to play us. We're just not good. So rant over. I know that may have sounded depressing, but I think a lot of you guys think and feel the same way as we do, and we just want to see them get better. I think we just want to see them change. I think the Steelers get too stuck in doing the Steeler way. They get stubborn in their ways, and I just want to see them commit to trying to change something, but they just don't. So going forward, that's what we're going to hopefully see. We got the Jets this weekend. Here's some keys to the game for you. This is going to be a shorter podcast without Chris, and also because I can't bounce ideas off of him, but also there's not really much to say. It's been sounding like a broken record for us the past 2 weeks, and it's going to sound that way until I see change. So there's not really much to elaborate on. For the keys to the game for the Jets game, I honestly want to say that we're lucky that they're going to play Zach Wilson over Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is kind of on fire right now. He's 5th in the league in passing yards with 900. I kind of felt more worried about playing Joe Flacco with how on a hot streak he is than Zach Wilson. And with Zach Wilson, you don't know what you're going to get. So, again, you got to apply pressure. They have some playmakers at wide receiver. Kelly Witherspoon's not playing. Maybe that's for the best, unfortunately, because he has not been very good. Which Chris and I called, by the way. We had said that. And everyone wanted to say that that wasn't true, that our cornerbacks are good. They're not good. They're the weakest part of our defense. We try to tell everybody. But with him not playing, maybe they actually end up playing better. Who's to say? You got to pressure Zach Wilson. You got to force turnovers. Offensively, running game's getting better every week. I'm looking forward to seeing the running game. Hopefully to continue to get better. Najee's vision getting better. Jalen Warren being more in the play calling because he's doing so well. I'm looking for middle of the field, hopefully, please, for the love of God. And I'm looking for points. I'm looking for Mitch to produce some points. I mean, if he plays really bad, do you start Kenny against the Bills? I wouldn't. I wanted Kenny to start this game. So now you're kind of delaying the inevitable because you're playing 4 great teams and you're going to keep delaying it and probably till the bye week. But I'm looking for, as long as Mitch is the quarterback, that's what I'm going to root for. And I'm looking for him to make some plays. Throw over the middle of the field. Make the right reads for once this year. It's great that you're throwing deep now, but make the correct reads when you do so. Receivers, you got to catch the ball, make a play. Deontay was all frustrated that he wasn't getting the ball, and then he drops a crucial one, unfortunately, because a lot of people like to make fun of him for that. The keys to the game are just do better, be better, play better. It's becoming frustrating. If I have to spend the rest of the season watching individual performances, I will, but it's becoming frustrating. It really is. So look for that for the Jets. They play them at noon. We'll see how that goes. We'll be back next week. We'll be able to talk about, I'm hoping to talk about improvement. I'm not going to come next week and say if the Steelers beat the Jets even by a lot. I'm not going to come back and say we're back, baby. Super Bowl bound. That's not going to be us. Chris and I will not be talking like that. We need to see consistency, but we'll talk about the improvements that hopefully they'll make, and hopefully that will show for us. And that's what I'm looking forward to talking about next week. Hopefully, not only individual performances, but as a unit, hopefully they're playing better. We'll find out. Moving on, I want to talk about some brief NFL news. Super brief, but I thought the best news of the week to me was they've changed the Pro Bowl. Finally, the Pro Bowl is one of the most boring games of the year. No one wants to hit each other. There's zero contact. And they're making it a week-long skills competition, which is great. That's the best part of the Pro Bowl the past couple of years. And a flag football game at the end. Also great. Maybe people actually kind of try a little bit harder because it's kind of two-hand touch already with pads on. Flag football might be a little more electric, a little more entertaining. They get to be a little more free. They're not worried about injuries. I think it's a great call. I think it's a great decision. And it's produced by Omaha Productions, so the Manning brothers. I'm looking forward to see how they try to make that exciting or make that pop up. I suppose we can kind of end this one a little bit shorter, and I can talk to you guys about the predictions of the games this week. Chris and I have been predicting every game this week to the best of our ability, and whoever has the worst record, we're going to ask for a punishment to do by the end of the year. Right now, Chris has told me, he's let me know that he's beating me by 2 wins right now. So here I'm going to give you guys our picks this week, and we'll see if we can wrap up any last-second thoughts. So with the Dolphins and Bengals playing tonight, I picked the Dolphins. Chris picked the Bengals. Vikings and Saints, I picked the Vikings, and so did Chris. Seahawks and Lions, we both picked Lions. Jets and Steelers, we both picked Steelers. Bears and Giants, we both picked Giants. Titans and Colts, I picked the Colts. Chris picked the Titans. Chargers and Texans, we both picked the Chargers. Browns and Falcons, we both unfortunately picked the Browns. Commanders and Cowboys, we both picked the Cowboys. Jaguars, Eagles, both picked the Eagles. Bills at Ravens is a really tough game to predict because they're both playing really lights out. I think the only reason Buffalo lost last week to Miami, even though I did call that being an upset game, was from the amount of heat cramping going on. And at Baltimore kind of scares me that it's at the Ravens Stadium. But both of us picked Bills. Cardinals at Panthers, we both picked Cardinals. Broncos at Raiders, we both picked Raiders. Surprise, surprise, to anyone listening. I know they're 0-3, but Broncos don't look good. I think the Raiders got to get a win somewhere. Patriots at Packers, got to pick Packers with Mac Jones' injury. Chiefs at Bucks, I'm going to go Chiefs. I don't think the Bucks are really that good. And Rams at Niners. Chris went Rams, I went Niners. Even though their Niners kind of look like they suck too, so that's probably a bad choice by me. In conclusion, what can we say that hasn't already been said? Looking at you, Mitch, to play better, make them right reads. Looking at you, Matt Canada, to call better play calling. Looking at you, Tomlin, to make some changes if they don't. You can't get the defense out in the field for 40 minutes and expect them to win the game for you. It's frustrating, guys. You can hear it in my voice. I know you can. But let's end this on a little lighter note. We're Steeler fans. Ride or die, no matter what. Chris and I have never experienced a losing season. This may be the first losing season we experience. That's okay. I am still a Steeler fan. I still bleed black and gold. I will still be a fan for the rest of the season. I hope you follow along with us as we discuss how this team improves or regresses. And I'm excited to watch them every week. I really am. I'm excited to watch them on Sunday. They play the Bills the next week. I'll be excited to watch them then, even though I know they're going to get stomped. But I'll watch them. We love the Steelers around here. We love them. Well, I think that's where the passion comes from and the frustrations, because we know that they can be better. But for whatever reason, the past 2.5 years to 3 years, they're just stuck in this way and they don't want to change. So I think it's time we need to start seeing some changes, or at least some improvements. Otherwise, we'll be really heavily focusing on the offseason, on coaching changes and personnel changes. But with that, go Steelers. We're going to ride this thing out. We got a long road ahead of us, but we'll be here throughout the whole thing. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Tinder. But not really. Not really. Thanks again for listening to the Northern Steel Podcast. I am your host, Dominic Paskowski, and we will see you guys, hopefully on a brighter note after a win, next week. Peace.